Okay, we'll talk now with just a few images and some words about this architect who I think deserves to be known and even paid homage to. Uh, I don't know if I pronounce well his name, Matthew in English, Maciej, Nowicki, Polish origin. Let's read a little bit about him, and we'll understand what is his significance in the history of architecture. So Matthew Nowicki, in Poland known as Maciej Nowicki, I'm sure I don't pronounce very well and I apologize, born on the 26th of June 1910, so exactly 113 years ago, and died in 1950 at 40, was a Polish architect. He was chief architect of the new Indian city of Chandigarh. Nowicki was born in Chita in Siberia. After the Second World War, he received a commission. Well, this is, I have another biography sketch about him. There is more to it. His father was a diplomat. Anyway, after the Second World War, he received a commission to work on plans for the reconstruction of Poland's capital city, Warsaw. In December 1945, he was posted to New York City as an official delegate of the Polish state to advertise the rebuilding of Poland. Nowicki was the architect of the J.C. Dorton Arena in Raleigh in the United States, I think South Carolina or North Carolina, in North Carolina. He was a member of the Workshop of Peace team working on the United Nations headquarters, already an achievement in itself. He was a chair of the Faculty of Architecture at North Carolina State University. His wife, Stanislava Nowicki, was also an architect who taught from 1951 to 1977 at the University of Pennsylvania. Nowicki died around midnight on the 31st of August, the 1st of September 1950, in the crash of Trans World Airlines flight TWA 903 near Wadi Natrun in the western desert of Egypt. He had been returning from India, where he was chief architect designing the new city of Chandigarh, which we know now was, we think, was the oeuvre of Le Corbusier, and it was. But initially, and at first, he was commissioned to do it. This was the man, Matthew Nowicki. Seems a sensitive man, a serious man, and we can only neglect he died young, tragically. Sad, very sad. Here he is with a group of participants in the making of the World Trade Center. No, sorry, not World Trade Center, the United Nations building. Of course, you recognize he stands out mainly because of his glasses and maybe the bow tie. Le Corbusier, but here we have Oscar Niemeyer, and here is Nowicki, Matthew Nowicki. So, you know, we have some very important architectural figures here together trying to, you know, to design the United Nations building. Drawings. There's a very unique, I would say, manner of drawing. It's easy to recognize a drawing by Matthew Nowicki. I feel a little bit guilty that I pronounce his first name in English. It should be pronounced in Polish, but since I do not know Polish, I have difficulties to pronounce his name, although maybe it's not so difficult. And again, I apologize. I like his drawings. They are the drawings rather of a graphic artist. Of course, manual drawings. So I have a few more texts about him, maybe a little bit too much text, but I still think we should pay homage to this architect. So Matthew Nowicki was not an architect of houses. However, he was one of North Carolina's most important architects. He was born in Chita, Russia, to a Polish family. His father was a consul as well as the head of the Polish Agrarian Party. Due to his father's political position, the family lived in a variety of locations, including a 2-year stay in Chicago, where Nowicki learned English. Nowicki entered Warsaw Polytechnic in 1929 and graduated in 1936. His important pre-war designs included an administration building in Lodz in Poland, a casino at Druskieniki, and the sports center in Warsaw. He also designed Poland's pavilion for the 1939 World's Fair. In 1938, he married Stanislava Sandeka, a fellow student, with whom he was to collaborate on a number of later projects. Nowicki was briefly an anti-aircraft artillery officer during the Nazi invasion of Poland in 1939. During the subsequent occupation of Poland, he taught undergraduate classes in architecture and town planning under the guise of a bricklaying course. Very, very nice. Later, he was involved in guerrilla fighting around Warsaw, but escaped to the mountains with his family. Again, beautiful, because he was a man engaged in the realities of his time, and he fought for what he thought was just. At the end of the war, Nowicki was appointed chief of planning for the central area of Warsaw. He came to the United States as a technical advisor to the Polish embassy to enlist American interest in the rebuilding of Warsaw. From there, he was selected to represent the Polish government in the choice of a site for the United Nations headquarters, as we already know. Just a second, I have to. And later as a consultant to the director of planning on the board of design for the new United Nations facilities in New York. Following 1947 takeover by the Communist Party in Poland, Nowicki was unable to return home and became a visiting critic at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. He joined the founding faculty of the North Carolina School of Urbanism, I guess, SU, School of Design, in 1948. No, he's not, that U is not of urbanism. Under Dean Harry Kamphoffner, anyway, as did his wife, Siasia Nowicki, herself an accomplished architect. They lived, whatever the address. Dean Kamphoffner encouraged family members to remain active in their profession, so not only to teach, but also to practice architecture, and Nowicki took full advantage of this opportunity. He worked on a number of North Carolina projects as a consultant to the firm William Dietrich. This included interior and textile design for the modernist Caroline Country Club in Raleigh, designed with his wife, and schematic designs for a new state museum in art, science, and history, which was unbuilt. Just a second, again, I have some problems here, and I don't know how I'm going to move forward now. This exasperates me. Nowicki was part of the design team for this firm, and he, let's see, I want to accelerate a little bit the reading. This building was actually destroyed. I read the building style was generally unappreciated because it was too modern, so unappreciated by its conservative, affluent members. Many hated it. It was destroyed in the 1960s and replaced with a very traditional design. He's best known for designing the J.S. Dorton Arena, and we are going to see it. In 1948, it's too long, this text, I'm sorry about it. So he became the head of the Department of Architecture at North Carolina State University, I should have thought, School of Design, when he was commissioned for a huge project in India at Chandigarh. Traveling for that project, he was killed on Thursday, August 31st, 1950, when TWA Flight 903 crashed near Aten, 55 miles from Cairo, Egypt. And Le Corbusier took over the project in Chandigarh. Strangely, you know, the plane fell at 55 miles away from Cairo, and I understood there were 55 people in that plane who died. In 1956, L'Architecture d'aujourd'hui, one of the world's leading architectural periodicals, named Nowicki a pioneer of architecture of the second half of the 20th century. This is a building he did. I don't know, it was not named on the website I took this information from, but from what I see in this picture is a very convincing modernist building, and I'm sure he would have built equally good buildings if he lived longer. Here he is in a picture that was published when he died. Interiors of that building, that house that he built. And this is the arena that we talked about. It was actually built after he died, but based on his project. He made the project, and the building, you know, he is the author of this building, which inspired other arena builders, you know, from Eero Saarinen to others. It's very conceptually and structurally very well done, and for that time, I'm sure it was quite a novelty. Maciej Nowicki. The rendering is not so important, but the building was built, and it was built as he envisioned it, and some colored sketches that he did. And here is the newspaper that you know, describes the tragedy, with the unexplained crash occurred shortly after the pilot of the 4-engined airliner made a routine all-swell check. So the wreckage of the plane, which was on the Cairo-Rome leg of its flight, was found after an early morning search near the tiny mud hut village in Egypt, Atay Barud. Anyway, he died. 55 people died, and he was survived by his wife, who was also on the college staff as a visiting assistant professor in the School of Design, and 2 sons, Paul and Peter. So that's how life is. We struggle, and one day something happened. That's why every moment is important. You see, a brilliant architect who was forced to exit life in these tragic circumstances. Thank you.